to sustainable development, resilience and renewable energy, to the music, art, and entertainment industries. Join Dr. Simone Matthew and guests every other Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We examine where they came from, where they have been, where they are now, and how we can move forward together with our brothers and sisters at home and abroad to inspire and elevate our country, our economy, our people, and our youth to achieve excellence and success. Roots Connections on Q, every other Wednesday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only on Q95, the big station.
Jacob is calling his children. Where the price, so we walk.
Good evening to you. Good evening to you. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, it is always wonderful to be back in your company for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. If this is your first time joining us, this is our number one program for navigating a world where
Q95, the big station.
Only constant.
Dominicans journeyed beyond our shores for decades in search of economic opportunities and educational advancement. Many are ready to give back to their cherished nature island. Welcome to Roots Connections on Q. Join Dr. Simone Matthew on Q95 as we tap into the life and times and expertise of our nature island Dominican.
How we go, Lammy? Yes, so again, good evening to you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. It is always wonderful to be in your company for another episode of Roots Connections on Q, right here on Q95, the big station. If this is your first time joining us, this is our number one program for navigating a world where change is the only constant. We continue to harness the power of technology, international radio, social media, and podcasts to leverage the skills and the talents of our Dominican and Caribbean brothers and sisters around the world for guidance in this ever-changing world. As we continue to work on reversing that brain drain that has plagued the Caribbean region for many decades. So today we have another packed program for you. We have a full panel of guests, of very passionate Dominicans and one adopted Dominican sisters, folks who are always they make themselves readily available to lend their voice and their support to our movement for advancing Dominica and the Caribbean region. So today we are joined by Dr. Margaret Triffy Wallace, who's a licensed psychologist. And by the way, these folks need no introduction, but just for formality, we'll go ahead and mention their names. We're also joined by registered nurse, Miss Halima Thomas Abdullah. And then we have a business owner, among many other hats that she wears, our adopted Dominican sister, Miss Tanya Dixon. And then we cannot have such a panel without having a male voice to add to the conversation. So I want to say a very special thank you to Mr. Carlos Charles, the son of Mr. Lambert Charles, who's in the studio right now, a business owner and the leader of Team Unity Dominica. So today we are looking at, as we get ready to step into 2025, what is the promise and potential of Dominica for 2025 and beyond? So this is our year in review program where we're going to look at what is going good in Dominica, what is going well, what is the progress we've made in various areas in Dominica, but also what are the challenges that we still face with regards to moving Dominica and the Caribbean region forward. So before we continue, let me just invite the panel to unmute their mic and just tell us a little bit about their connections to Dominica. This has been Roots Connections. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing in Dominica. And of course, for Tanya, tell us how you're connected to Dominica. So we have to be gracious and have our adopted sister begin with us. So Tanya, let's head over to you. Just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're connected to Dominica. And I'll go ahead and share the live to all those who are waiting for the link to the conversation. Tanya?
Okay, well, I think people just know my name by now, and they probably do want to learn more about me. I have to be honest, I've been keeping that kind of close to the chest. I don't really share much about myself. But as Simone said, my name is Tanya Dixon. I'm a proud, I say, Trini Dominican. And I do wear many hats. I'm a nature educator, the co founder of Earth Kids Dominica, where we nurture holistic development in children through nature based learning. And I'm also, I like to say, a wellness advocate. I like helping individuals reconnect with themselves and, the healing power of nature by way of my spiritual store, which I have online, Reveille Moody. And then I'm also an activist. I would say that, yes, for mainly child sexual abuse prevention and a member of the Dominica Child Protection Society, where we work towards, educating our children about sexual abuse and equipping them with the tools to protect themselves. So honestly, I'm just a Trini who fell in love with Dominica. I came here to work. Most people know that. I came here to work, and then, you fall in love with Dominican men, you make Dominican babies, you fall in love with the island, and that's why I'm here. I'm still here. And honestly, I've just developed this commitment to the growth and well-being of the island because I feel like the island itself has helped me with my growth and well-being. So that's basically me.
Yes, thank you, Tanya, and thank you for being a partner with me on the Dominica Child Protection Society. We're still putting that program together to continue the work that we're doing. So, Dr. Trifi, let's go over to you as you give us your introduction and your connections to Dominica.
Happy Wednesday. Thank you, Dr. Simone, for the invitation. I am Dr. Triffy. I'm from a little village in Dominica called Cottage. Yeah, I'm a northerner. I live in Atlanta. I'm a licensed psychologist in the state of Georgia. For work, I've got a private practice, but most days of the week, I'm clinical director at a state prison. Yeah, what is my passion for Dominica? I think Dominica is in every cell, every little strand of DNA. Dominica is just in me, We used to have a T-shirt or something. I'm 100% Dominican.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No matter where we go, we still
No matter where
remain
I go, my heart's in
100%
Dominica. The end. That's
Dominican.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Amma, let's come over to you.
Hi, Amma. Most people know me as Amma on Facebook. Amma Thomas. To my fellow villagers from the Northeast community of Marigat, I'm Halima. I, like many others, I wear many hats. I am farmer in Dominica, RN in the US. I live in New Jersey, but as many know, I'm always in Dominica. Dominica is near and dear to my heart, and into this conversation about what are the solutions that we can talk about to make Dominica more or going forward more than it is right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to that conversation. Carlos, last but certainly not least.
Good evening, Dr. Simon. Good evening to your listeners. Good evening, Lambi, Daddy. Good evening to my co how is it? We are presenters for this evenings. Yes. So good evening to everybody. Thank you for having me there. As Dr. Simon said, my name is Carlos Charles. I am a young businessman. I still classify myself as a young person, even though the grades are starting to peak now and then, starting to get them now. Soon I'll be white like Lambi. But for now, yes, I'm a businessman. I've lived and worked in Dominica for practically all my life. This is one of the reasons why I have decided to get myself involved in politics. So yes, some of you may know me as the leader of Team Unity. So I'm also involved in that. But in my professional life, I am a media professional. I'm also an ICT professional, and I do some management in business as well. So for
Mhm.
now, that's what I do. I do a little bit of everything, and I do it to the best of my ability. So,
Yeah, so welcome to our club. The whites are showing, Carlos.
yes,
It just means you're getting wiser. It doesn't mean you're getting older. You're just getting wiser.
you don't think it's because I'm getting a lot more stress?
Well, that too, but stress is a part of life. It's the way you deal with it that's usually the issue. But thank you. I think we can already see why we have such an esteemed panelist for this conversation. So we look forward to their contributions to the conversation. So again, a warm welcome to Roots Connections. This is episode number 82 of Roots Connections on Q for today, December 11th. 2024, and I am your host, Simone Matthew. You know, as we continue to witness how quickly the world around us is changing, here on Roots Connections, we continue to look at the changes we should be concerned about, the changes we should be taking advantage of, as well as the changes we need to make in order to move our island and our people forward. As always, we look forward to hearing from you, whether you call in or you join us on Facebook and YouTube at Q95 FM Radio on Facebook and YouTube, and Push Past 10 on Facebook. Peter Thomas, I already see that you're logged on. So thank you for joining us. Don't forget, as you're coming in, share the live. Let everyone know that we're here for this important conversation. And don't forget to post a message to say hi, to let us know where you're joining us from, for example, so that we can acknowledge that you're here with us. We remain grateful to Mr. G and the Q95 family for the opportunity to come here every second and fourth Wednesday as we continue to tap into the human resources of Dominica to help to advance Dominica and the Caribbean region. Lambi Showin, as always, thank you for being here for us as we continue to do this program. And of course, we will not be having this particular conversation in a vacuum. We know that there are limitless factors that impact the conversation that we're having tonight, one of them being the need for electoral reform in Dominica. So we just want to say a very special thank you to those who are on the front line with regards to fighting that battle. So again, if you're just joining us, you're tuned in to Roots Connections on Q. We have our guest lineup, Dr. Margaret Triffy Wallace, Miss Halima Thomas Abdullah, Miss Tanya Dixon, and Mr. Carlos Charles. And again, we are looking as we get ready to step into 2025, what is the promise and the potential of Dominica for 2025 and beyond. So let's begin the conversation. And the goal of the conversation this evening, you know, I think a lot of times we spend a lot of time bashing each other, folks in Dominica bashing those of us who are not in Dominica, and vice versa, those of us up here bashing Dominica. So I don't want this to be another let's bash each other session, but instead I want this to be a conversation on how we can collaborate, how we can work together for the benefit of Dominica. So we're going to begin with the good. We're going to begin with what we see Dominica is doing good in. You know, one of my favorite topics is the Fed economy that we had a program on, because as we can see, the Fed economy is booming in Dominica. But let us talk about other areas. We saw the success of Thea Lafour and several of our young people who are doing well in sports. We have seen areas where students continue to excel in Dominica. So let me open up the discussion. Anyone can feel free to jump in, and let's talk about what we're seeing. Dominica is doing good. I see Tanya has a big old smile, so she might have something she wants to add at this point.
I see you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, because you had a big smile, so I think you were anxious.
No, I was just thinking to myself, those points you stated there, they're good points. But you know, things that I think we're doing okay. It shows that yeah, there's some good stuff happening. Um I feel like for me, the top thing that stood out for me when I thought about where are we doing well, what have we been doing well at, was basically like influencer promotion. I consider myself young. I'm always on social media and I'm always observing what the world is saying about this beautiful country. And I felt like this year I had a lot of people saying great things, visiting and showing us the beauty of the island. People from Guadeloupe, people from Haiti, people from all over, was just speaking really highly about mainly the beauty of our island, the nature, the natural, ecosystems. It's just I was really happy about that. Very, very, very happy about that. The World Wide Web just everywhere we are. So yeah, I would start with that. I don't have much. And when we speak about the great things, I'm going to be honest, but that one for me stood out a lot. And definitely, as you said, that fete. Yes. I feel like we're doing better there in improving our seasons, the Creole and even the Carnival, the ancillary events and more events being added on, which is good to lengthen the season. We needed that because you had to make money. That's how they do it. You add events that are so tantalizing that people say, wow, I have to come for 2 weeks instead of just the weekend, you know? So I see that happening, and I feel that's going to continue happening into 2025. I've high hopes for Carnival.
Yes, excellent. Anyone else, feel free to jump in.
Well, Doc, one thing that stood out to me this year, because in case you don't know, I'm an avid motorsports enthusiast. I used to be the leader of the Lone Bike Club in Dominica, the president of that, and I've since moved on to other things. But I am very happy that this year the guys were able to put in a well organized bike festival, which saw a lot of regional integration through that. And those are the kind of things I would love to see happening in Dominica. And not just the tourist boats come in and stay for a few hours, but stay over tourism with people coming and spending time in the country and of course their money. Um, if we were just talking about the entertainment, and I'm sure you guys have noticed lately the music has blossomed. Our young guys have taken the entertainment world by storm. There's so many years I've been involved through my media business. I've been involved with the various bands over the years, and I've been telling them to do these exact things. You all need to release music whole year round and release it earlier for Carnival and not just the week before Carnival opening. And you're playing cat and mouse to see who release first, because face it, it's a big world out there and we have a limited amount of people in our country, a little bit amount of consumers to consume this music, and you need to focus on the entire globe to get the music out there. So shout out to Trilogy, Kwan, and Little Boy for blazing the trail, and I see the other guys stepping it up right now, Colton T and the others. So I want to ask our major bands to jump on board. Don't wait. Don't wait. Let us put the music out there. WCK started it. Exile One started it. Ophelia, Michael Anderson, they did a lot of work back when in the years past. Right now we have a lot more work to do to get Dominica fully on the map, because people still mistake us for Dominican Republic.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. I'm a Dr. Triffy.
Hello. Okay, so I am big on the music too. I love music, and I love the fact that the guys are, in my mind, making an effort to expose more people's ears to the music. So, in my opinion, the beats have always been hypnotic, but there's been some anxiety about perhaps the lyrics. So it's been very refreshing this year to see such powerful, in my mind, hits musically that can spread, that can reach so many more people, based on the languaging. So I appreciate that the artists are paying attention to environmental feedback, your supporters, the people who are saying, hey, we really love you guys, we appreciate you. Could you try to do it like this a little more? So I'm very impressed that they have put some effort towards that. And as evidenced by the reach, I mean, I saw a video today of one of the Atlanta housewives, yeah, playing the drums to I hope you find someone
Are you
else.
serious?
Yes, Portia
Wow.
Williams. Portia Williams was playing the drum, right? And so that's what you need. You need the music to get to people's ears where they can hear it. Yeah, where they can hear it. And all you need is one bright light, big bright light, for that music to get attached to. It spreads. So she posted that on her page today. So imagine the number of people who will see it, hear the music, and become curious about the music. So I really want to say congratulations to the guys for listening, I guess, like being flexible, being flexible. I'm interested and hopeful about some of the big projects happening in Dominica. I appreciate that they're going to take a lot of time because business is time. When you're building something from the ground up, it's time. I'm talking about the cable car project and the geothermal project and the airport. And I'm really hoping for good results from these projects. So I'm hopeful about that. I really hope for the best when it comes to the success of these projects because, it takes a lot of money to create big projects like that. You want to see it succeed and do well so that hopefully we all benefit from it because one of my big things is generational wealth, generational wealth. And, we want to be able to provide for our families and our families' families because there's actually a biblical directive to leave an inheritance for your children's children. And so I hope in some ways that these projects can contribute to that for Dominicans.
Yeah, and I'm completely on board about hoping these projects come to fruition. But I think someone said it best recently that what I want to see is not the groundbreaking ceremony. What I want to see is the ribbon cutting ceremonies. So let's hope we don't have to wait decades and decades to see
Yeah.
the ribbon cutting ceremonies, so we can celebrate these as something positive going on in Dominica. I'm over to you.
So I was in Dominica for 8 weeks this summer, 8 weeks of bliss. And what I saw from the people there, I want to talk more or less from my perspective of being underground versus my perspective as a diasporan. Underground, what I saw was a sense of people starting to mobilize themselves to come together, to have ideas, to push their communities forward. Everyone knows I'm from Marigot. So Marigot has always been a very resilient community. It's withstood the test of times in Dominica. We pride ourselves on knowing that we can survive in a situation where we may not necessarily support what's going on, but we found other mechanisms and ways of survival. Very interesting to me and very heartwarming was the first day of school. I visited a few schools on the first day of school, and I was just so happy. I broadcasted it live to see the promise of Dominica on the faces of those little boys and girls. And that's where I will be focusing in the conversation tonight on the promise of the children and what it means to nurture them, to bring them up in the way that they're going to be productive members of society. What I saw in those schools, I don't think I can find it anywhere in the United States. I mean, these kids were ready, they were pumped. The opening day of school was a solid 2 to 3 hours of just like really invigorating the students, really putting in to them. And I was just very, very happy to see that happening in my community. I also visited Concord Primary School, and they need a little bit of help, but still with the same mindset that they're going to move their community forward. That's what I saw in Dominica, was the beginning of hope again, and hope for something new and different, and somewhere we can bring Dominica forward.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us share your views because it's the hope for the children that keeps many of us on this journey. That even when we're frustrated and we're ready to throw our hands up because we don't think that folks are willing to do their part, we think of the children. And I have to just mention that in October, when Dominica Civical Alumni Association, we held our very first youth symposium in healthcare. And that is one of the things a lot of people commented out, how enthusiastic our young people are, how they are yearning for opportunities, how they're yearning for a path to create a brighter future for themselves. So I think you're so correct, and I'm happy that you're going to focus on that area, Amma, because that is where, for many of us, the hope lies, the promise of our country lies in terms of how we can develop our young people. So we did talk about the fact that we're not going to have this as a bashing session. So I'm liking how the conversation is going so far. But I also want to make sure that we do not sugarcoat the reality on the ground in Dominica. So I wanted to be able to speak candidly about what we see in Dominica. And one of the main areas I think we have to focus on, because again, we're not having this conversation in a vacuum, is the environment in Dominica. Are we finding that there is an enabling environment for success in general, and in particular success for our businesses, our small businesses, because we have to face the fact that when we talk about advancing people's lives, you really can't advance your life if you do not have opportunities, financial opportunities. So Carlos, you and Tanya being on the ground, I kind of want you to start this part of the conversation as we begin to look at challenges. So talk to us about the environment in Dominica, if you're finding an enabling environment, and also if you're seeing opportunities for our people, job opportunities for self-development, opportunities for advancement. So tell us, what are you seeing on the ground? And I think, Amma, you can chime in as well, since you spent, what was that, like 2 months, in almost 2 months in Dominica. So let's hear about the environment in Dominica, because I think that is the basis for our conversation this evening.
Well, I would not say that all hope is lost. I don't think all hope is lost. Our young people are very innovative. While I'm saying that, I just want to reach out to every young person who is within the sound of my voice, because I am a young person too, and I would like to encourage them to don't give up, because a lot of folks have. If you speak to, I don't want to give fraud numbers, but a high percentage of the youth are looking for a way out rather than stay and work in Dominica. So let us not give up on our country, because if you look at what's going on globally, it's not that easier out there. If you look at the leadership of a lot of countries are changing, and a lot of policies are changing. Things are getting tough out there. I mean, yes, in Dominica, a lot can happen to make things better down here, but there are also opportunities that we can look for ourselves to make things better for ourselves.
Mhm.
And with that said, I look at stuff such as the youth the DYBT, the Youth Business Trust. I see they just had graduation recently, and I attended one of the events last week. It was the young people. There's a lot of prospects for our young people. The persons developing food punches, all these nice foods, a lot of it. It was a catering expo that they were doing for the DYBT, and you saw all these various businesses that these young people are doing on their own. They may need a little help. Some may need a little help with branding and marketing and so on. But the end product, what they putting together, the taste is nice. The 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 punches. I'm sure my aunt would enjoy a little peanut punch. And they had the sorrel, and they had the lime, and they had different flavors, everything there. But on a more serious note, you mentioned things like the airport. You forgot to speak on the marina, which they currently started working on as well. But I would like to see more local involvement. Yes, they have trucks carrying cement to the airport, but there's a lot of work that has to happen on those projects, and I would like to see opportunities being created for our people, particularly our young people and our not so young who have been in the business for such a long time, and they would have the opportunity to have equipment to do those kind of work, allow them to compete so that they could improve their business and assist other business. But let me don't take over the program.
Mhm.
You
No,
might just
absolutely. No, no, no. You're doing quite fine. But I keep thinking because I think it is so wonderful when we see our entrepreneurs succeeding. And one of the positives that I have to mention as well is seeing that they're getting funding. So we know that GEMS just announced the
Yes.
winners of the funding, the three top winners of the funding. So that gets me excited. But what about those our young and not so young people who do not have that entrepreneurial skill set? Who all the hundreds of students we see, and maybe thousands we see across the island graduating from college and graduating from high school, and they're not interested in being entrepreneurs. Where are the job opportunities? We hear a lot too on the ground about jobs going to foreigners. So what do we say to this? That is what I talk about when we talk about the reality on the ground, and we have to be open and honest about it, because I believe that the only way you change a situation is by being completely honest about the reality. So anyone can feel free to jump in at this point.
Well, can I say something about that? In
Yes.
terms of the reality on the ground, I think the biggest issue that we see with the citizens trying to stimulate the private sector is the fact that um, it takes a certain amount of discipline, and it takes a certain amount of rigor and planning to exercise all the opportunities that we talk about. Like, it's one thing to say that there's nothing for the people there, but it's another thing to say that opportunities are presented and then opportunities are not taken.
Mhm.
And I'll give an example. Before I went to Dominica, I put out for an internship for an agriculture student, two of them, to work with me on my farm. The pay was going to be $1,500 for the summer for a college high school student. I thought that would be a great challenge and a great opportunity for them to work alongside me on the farm and possibly even look into something, graduating into something more permanent, which is what I was looking for. And absolutely no one responded to that post. So I don't know if it's necessarily there are no opportunities or that people are not in the time and space where opportunities can be taken. And again, that goes back to the preparedness,
Mhm.
how people feel about themselves, where people are with their mindsets. Again, where I want to like focus in again, like I said, in terms of the conversation on the mind, where we are psychologically. I mean, we can bring in all kinds of programs, but if people are not, if the ego is not there, if certain skills are not developed, people are going to feel that they're inadequate or they cannot take on the challenge. Maybe the people seeing my post just thought, wow, that post is written in such a structure that I don't think I can do that. And instead of asking a question, they just decided that they couldn't do it. So again, we too also have to be very careful how we analyze the situation. I have often found that our analysis from here in the diaspora is often not the reality for the people on the ground. I get on the ground and it's a totally different story. Like
Absolutely.
everything I think about when I'm here, it goes out the window once I land. So I think what we need to look at more in Dominica is the development of the individual, the family unit, and how we launch successful units into society. Maybe Dr. Triffy can expound on that because
Yeah,
that's
thank
more
you.
her forte.
Yeah, thank you, and that is exactly where we're going to next. Because again, we have to look at the basis. What is the ground floor, the foundation of the challenges that we are seeing? So we're going to talk about learned helplessness, which is a psychological term, and I know Dr. Chifi can expound on that first. But in essence, what it boils to is that sapu-faire mentality. Sapu-faire mentality. What to do. This is the cards that I've been dealt in life, and this is the circumstance of my life, and that is the only place I will remain. And that is absolutely not true, because when we see Dominicans migrate out of Dominica, they excel, they flourish, they become financially independent. And I want us to look at what that learned helplessness leads to, because it leads to other things such as that dependency syndrome that we see in Dominica. But I'm getting ahead of myself. But to answer your question, Amma, I think you're absolutely correct, because it is a combination of limited opportunities. I'm not going to say no opportunities, but limited opportunities in Dominica, combined with a lack of preparedness for success, a lack of wanting to grab an opportunity. $1,500 for the summer. If I was in Dominica, I would have jumped on that. And I wouldn't have cared if I had to travel from Baffaset to Marigot. I would have been there 6 a.m. You see what I'm saying? So I think it is a combination of limited opportunities, but also not being prepared for success. And that reminds me, because I need to do a program next year, God willing, on exactly that topic. Are our young people prepared for success in Dominica? And I see the comments already coming on Facebook. So guys, keep them coming and answer the questions. Do you believe that our young people in Dominica, and everyone in Dominica, as a matter of fact, is prepared for success? But I don't want to lose sight of the fact that we're talking about the environment in Dominica. So Tanya, let me hear your views on that. And then Dr. Chifi, we're going to go into learned helplessness after.
I wish you stuck to the learned helplessness, because I don't call it learned helplessness. I call it like a hopelessness. And I think that's really the root of the issue. But the environment, if we're not sugarcoating, I don't think we have developed our economy to a state where we are generating enough jobs. Okay, I think I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to I just don't think we're there yet. And yeah, we're just not there yet. We don't have enough jobs. Going to what Alma said about giving that opportunity, you consider it an opportunity to, come to the farm and do this internship, work for the summer for $1,500. And I also consider that an opportunity. That's if I'm interested in farming and agriculture. And you would think, living on this island, that, our youth, our people would be more interested in that. but it doesn't look like our youth are very much interested in agriculture. Okay, and that can only be because of, as adults, our lack of interest in it, as leaders, our lack of interest in it, our lack of investment in it. So why do I want to go dig my hand in dirt? It's hard work. Why? And I think that is somewhat of the mindset as well. If you want the children to be seeing internships as in agriculture as wow, they have to understand it. They have to understand the benefits of it. They have to, we have to teach them to love it. I think we have to take them back to when we loved it and when we invested in it. So again, we're talking about the environment. It's just not an environment that to me promotes, how do I say it? It just feels like a lot of things have been limited and we've been focusing on one thing. And I think what we know that is the CBI, or
Yeah.
we've been focusing on this thing. We have not been focusing on nothing else much, and so we're just kind of stagnant and stuck. And that's the air of the environment. And I want to go in. I hope you don't mind, Simone.
Not at all.
I know, Dr. Chief, we could really explain this well, but
Go ahead.
it's just really a mentality where we are hopelessness, and I feel like it's driven from leaders. And when I say leaders, I want to be clear, I'm not only speaking about government, I'm just speaking on the whole leadership within our nation. I wish, and this is going to sound woo for some people, I truly wish that we were, as mankind is just still in touch, or they still have that innate ability to be in touch with their intuition and to know, well, the polarities of this is right and this is wrong and this is ethical and this is not. But I feel like generally in the world, we've reached a point where people are so conditioned to be led to have someone on the outside of them tell them what is right, what is wrong, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And so you're seeing more and more, you're seeing a mindset. It's not really ours, it's just created by someone else. And I don't think it's easy for people to just say, hey, I'm going to pivot today. I'm going to change my mindset today. When you're still in this environment and the leaders are still pushing, some type of thoughts. We're very robotic now, It is not really our thoughts. It's just being influenced to let me be dependent. Let me be nonchalant about the issues. Like I have Lime, I can't see nothing going on. I am so individualistic now. And these are the things that we're seeing. And I honestly think it's just driven by a culture created. And to change that is going to mean, for me, in my opinion, we're going to have to change up leadership within our country. A leadership that's going to help us, start to remember again, to aspire for things and not to settle for less. A leadership that's going to help us, remember who we are, remember our independence, and to be independent. And I think those are just my thoughts,
Very well said, Tanya. And again, thank you for not sugarcoating your thought. Dr. Chifi, we're going to come to you in a minute, but as Tanya is speaking, another concept that came to mind is a locus of control. So we don't want to be too psychological on the program. We want to make sure that we don't include too many concepts that may be unfamiliar to our audience. But I think those are important concepts. So when I come to you, I want us to talk about learned helplessness and locus of control. But I kind of want to piggyback on what Tanya said, because yes, we don't see the interest and the investment and that zeal for agriculture in Dominica. But Carlos, you as a businessman, I think you can relate with this, because sometimes to get that $1,500 to do something that we are really passionate about, we have to do something that we are not passionate about. So let's talk about that, because again, even if I wasn't interested in agriculture and the opportunity that AMA was offering, I would still have traveled to Marigot or wherever at 6 a.m. in the morning to get that $1,500 to invest in what I am passionate about. And again, we go back to what we started talking about, the mindset. Are we seeing that people, they're very short-sighted? So they can only see the part where I have to put my hand in the dirt and agriculture is difficult and laborious. And they're not seeing the part where, hey, if I get that $1,500 and I want to take a couple of courses at UE in business management or whatever my passion is, I can do that. What are your thoughts, Carlos?
Well, first of all, I forgot to mention that I'm also involved in agriculture as well. In my adult life, I've taken it more seriously as compared to when I was just growing up. So yes, I'm doing a lot of planting and reaping and selling. I load my stuff on my van and I go to Rosa to sell. I think for first of all, the price that Apple Pay was offering is a good price compared to what is generally offered, because normally you pay someone $50 a day, and that offer equates to 75 a day. So anybody, probably guys that were on her social media were not agriculturally inclined, so they're more looking for a faster money.
Well, let
But
me just butt in here a little bit. I
Yes,
also
please.
run Dominica Garden Club.
okay,
We have over 1,500 members in there, both in the diaspora and in Dominica. And my Facebook following is well over like 1,000, I believe. I'm not sure on the numbers. And I'm connected to a lot of people on the ground. So I saw someone put in the comment, I cannot put my post on with maybe 5 people on my Facebook page. But what we do as concerned citizen is you say, hey, I'm gonna put something on. Her reach may not be as much. Let me share it.
Right.
Let me share the
Right.
opportunity on my page where I may have more following and I can get somebody, or I may call up like Simone is saying, somebody from Roseau that may want to call and say, well, do you provide accommodation? And I was in a house by myself in Margaret. I had transportation. I would have paid for accommodations. I think I put that on there that I was willing to accommodate the person. I had the geographic location all the way from Kalinago territory to as far as Portsmouth, that I was willing to look at transportation for them. So again, when we're making these points and we're looking at excuses for people as to why they cannot take up the responsibility and say that this is something that they want to do. I'm not, if we're being honest here, that's making a lot of excuses for people. Because when I was young, my goodness, I used to go all the way to Roseau and babysit my cousin, and my aunt would buy my textbooks for me. I didn't get any money in my hand, but she would just buy my textbooks for me at the end of the summer. So I just, we have to do what we have to do to get to where we want to go in life. I came to America, I cleaned houses for $20 a day,
Yep.
Because I had a goal. So, like somebody else was saying, you leave Dominica and you become so successful here. Yet, when you're in Dominica, you're unwilling to do it in your own community. Sorry, because I know we need to get Dr. Triffy on.
No. Take your time. No, take your time.
I'm just a little passionate about
Yes.
this because here I would go to the village every day into Marigot. And at one point, I had to say to a couple guys, come on, let's go. And they came. But I was really looking for that agricultural student from Next, from Northeast Comprehensive, that would come on and work with me in the capacity where now, if you're interested in agriculture and you're leaving school and you may not necessarily know where you're going yet, that's enough money to maintain you living in your mother's home, the program they have, I forgot what it was, that program they have where they give you $1,000 and less for cutting
NEP?
grass. NEP. NEP pays you $1,000 to adults. This is $1,500. You know, I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it's something to start with.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I
Carlos.
just wanted to say, I think
Yes.
like you said Halima, 1,500 for the summer. Is that for 2 months? Or was
Yeah,
that just
It was a month. It was
a month.
fifteen
oh, a
hundred a
month? So
month
$1,500 a month.
because I
Yeah,
like.
it is a good, it's a good
Yeah.
compensation for sure. I think so, as an intern, someone who probably has no experience, or and learning. But like I said, we always have to, every situation is different. You don't know what this individual is facing, especially with the economy that we're in. You don't know if they're contributing to their homes. You don't know what the travel is like from one place to the next. Sometimes some of us get paid and it's all eaten up in just traveling to work or in rent. The rents are, So I think, yes, it may sound like excuses, but everybody's situation is different. And I think a lot of us have a lot on our plate, even as kids, even as the young ones, and supporting their moms and their dads and helping out the situation and their little brothers and sisters. We don't know. But I still think, yes, it sounds like maybe if I saw it, I would have, yeah, I would
I
have.
would have taken it.
Well,
Yeah, Carlos. Dr. Chiffy, we're coming to you. We
what,
know you have a lot to say.
what I was going to say is that right now we have to face it. We have to make agriculture sexy again. If I were to permit me to use that term, we have to make it attractive for the young persons to want to jump on board. Sorry to say, yes, our leaders have failed us on both sides of the coin. Um, and I would like to add that, for example, when there was a change of leadership in government, back when I was in college, a leader told me straight off that the focus of Dominica is going to be on tourism, and he doesn't see me having any interest in agriculture. So they moved away from the banana industry into only tourism. Dame Eugenia Charles of blessed memory told us many years ago, diversify, diversify. You cannot depend on one thing. So yes, agriculture is good, but I'm not saying that we only plant plantains or bananas or coconuts. We need to look at different things. There's this young lady who's doing a lot of work in the agricultural sector, and she's not even in Dominica, Petrocarbon.
Petrocarbon.
And she is pushing products out of Dominica to the VIs. There are opportunities. There's this other gentleman in Marigot who's exporting produce regularly. They have monies coming into Dominica, and I'm in the Portsmouth area most of my time. I go down to the port, Longhouse. There's over 13 boats on rotation going to different islands in the Caribbean. It's back to the levels almost when my grandmother used to be a huckster. So many boats there available to push the produce out of Dominica. And right now there may be five of them sit down on the port. So yes, we have to make it sexy again for our young people to be interested in it and push it and help the country to move forward. Because face it, a lot of the things that we can do to change Dominica is going to start with agriculture. Everybody needs to eat.
Yeah, good points, Carlos. Yes, so Tanya, you wanted to jump in real quick before we get to Dr.
Yeah, but
Chiffy?
the question is how we making it sexy again for the
Yes.
youth. If we want to still keep bend down and cut, you don't like that. It's time for us to kind of innovate the thing
Yes.
too. I mean, we have to understand a balance is needed. Okay,
Tanya, there
just
are
saying.
young people in Dominica who have been involved in robotics on the international level. So we as leaders have to find ways to innovate the agriculture, keep in mind our terrain, and make things work that so our young people want to latch onto it. You have to
and
find a way,
and
to
make sure we're
marry.
not just reaping and planting for just
No,
because we like
no,
to see
Agro
flowers
processing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and soil. We
Yeah.
want to know we have markets. And yes,
yeah.
I know we can do it on our own, but it's even better when we have people to create the markets and expand, our markets for us. So
Right now, we have this at a state where we shouldn't even be worrying. I mean, sad but true, worrying about the leadership that is here right now, and start to do things on our own if we want to survive. Well, if we don't do that, then the place going to close on the shop going to close on you. You have to find a way to make it work. So
Yeah, and that is what we're seeing in terms of a lot of people who are successful. We're seeing that they're taking the reins of their own future and doing for themselves. But Dr. Shufi, let me come to you, because I think we have to get to the core, the heart of the matter, and that is the psyche of the people. So I'm going to let you decide if you want to start with locus of control first, or if you want to start with learned helplessness first.
You want to know what I want to start with? I want to start with something that Tanya was describing about the power of the leader and the duty of leadership. Not the leader is all of us in leadership, and all the way down to the leadership in the family, right? Leadership in the home. Yeah. Because as above, so below. The civil rights movement was spearheaded by many people, but the leadership matters. So you can achieve change from a grassroots movement, right? From the bottom up or from the top down, yeah, because as above, so below. But what we're seeing, if you want to see what's happening with the head, you can look at what's happening below to know what the head is, because as above, so below. Okay, so this sense of I don't really know what to do next that we're feeling on the ground is also at the top. Then that explains the focus on one particular area. I've learned how to do that, but I don't really understand how to do agriculture on a big scale, because many people have been asking for this. Yes? Many people have been asking, hey, create markets for us. Yes? Yes or no?
Yes.
Right? Over what span of time? 2 years? No. 5 years? No. 10 years? No. 15 years? That's a long time to not know. That's a long time to not figure out how to create markets for people who want to create their money using agriculture. So it's either I don't know or I don't want to know. By this length of time, I either don't know, really I don't understand it, or I don't want to put in the time and the effort and the energy to understand it. So as we talk about agriculture, that's my thought on that. What we need is a mindset shift. Here's a story. As we talk about mindset and who are we now versus who we used to be and who we really are. Tanya said it too. It's a remembering of who we are. Yeah, that's DNA. That's coded in our DNA, but it got interrupted psycho-spiritually with thought forms that were very different from what our parents had and our grandparents had. Speaking of grandparents, and back to the idea of generational wealth, which is the responsibility of every adult, as I understand it. Yeah? My grandpa, Jocelyn, built a house in 1919 that I was raised in, that many of my cousins were raised in, that many of my nieces and nephews got to see. 1919, yeah? I wanted to get some ideas for this program tonight, and so I asked some of my friends, and one of my friends suggested that something that's going well is the housing revolution, which is where the government makes homes for citizens. And I thought to myself, that's great because many people get a home. Yeah, they're too they're struggling, and they get a home. But as I look at the story of my grandfather and most of the villagers, because many of us were grandkids living in our grandparents' houses that they had built, it was strong enough to take care of us. A mindset shift happened in Dominica to where instead of self sufficiency, where we built our homes, we became okay with people building it for us, and we were okay not having the titles to these properties. What happens when you have the title to a property? That's the collateral you take, that deed, you take it to a bank, and you can build generational wealth with that deed because you use that now as surety for the double cab to take your produce from the mountains down to Longhouse. Yeah, you use that as collateral for the loan at Aid Bank, so your child is not screaming because they're not getting the tuition paid at Grambling University. That's why you need the deed. That's why you need to build your own, really. Even if it's small, it's yours and it's appreciating in value. If you don't have a deed, you are living like a bird on a branch. And it's very selfish if you think about it, because I am only living for me. In my working life, my working years, the time I have, I'm still healthy, my body's not aching to the point where I cannot work. I'm saying I will not bataille with life. I will not struggle with life. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah. Now, there are some situations where okay, you can understand it, but to be so widespread, that's a psycho-spiritual, in my view, attack on the mindset of the people. Because now I have just disabled you. I've disabled you because I've actually made you afraid to struggle. This is how our parents taught us to swim. They would let you bataille. The bird in the nest with the babies, what does it do at a certain point? It pushes it out. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to see your baby hurt. But that's how that baby gets strong. That's how that baby gets strong. We have to make those mistakes. And, it didn't really work. So we tried something else. And that's how we pass on wealth. It's the same thing that's happening with the airport, which I love that it's being built. And the cable car, I love that it's being built. But I was in physical pain when I read that the cable car company decreased the amount of money they were paying local people to somehow get on par with the rest of the salaries. What does that mean? You have truckers who cannot. They're begging to eat at the table that's supposed to be being prepared for them. These are once in a lifetime capital projects. We will never see another international airport being built. What is that then? That's an opening for regular people to gain wealth, to get so much work that they can afford to send the child to Grambling. So when they miss out on that, when is the next opportunity to build that generational wealth that you need to be able to survive as a people? As a people. So it's the mindset, though, that needs to be reset, because my grandfather's mindset was, let me build a house that will be strong enough and good enough from my land that my parents left me, because his parents left land that was enough for him, his brother, and our grand auntie.
But can I ask a question? Can I
Yes,
ask
go
a
ahead,
question?
Ahmed.
We keep saying, this is why I say I like to talk from the perspective of the people in Dominica. Well, I'm just going to narrow it down to my village. We keep saying that we need to change the mindset, but it's like, how are we going to do it? because
Exactly. That
that's
was the
why
question I was going to ask.
I'd been on Facebook, as even Simone was saying that I haven't been on in a long time, because all we're doing is talk, we're talking.
Yep.
And I don't see solutions coming up. I don't see people saying, okay, I'm going to make this sacrifice for my people. For those of us who are able, for those of us who are emotionally mature, for those of us who live out here and can afford, that are well established in our professional capacity, we're not even willing to give 30 minutes of our time. I'm not talking dollars, 30 minutes a week to mentor that person that's on the ground that needs to develop that mindset of how to bring someone from bottom feeder to the next and to the next and to the next level. And if we're not willing to do that, we may as well stop the conversation if we're going to be candid about it. Because like I said, the whole thing starts within the family. I met people in Dominica this summer. If I could just bleed myself for them, I would. I mean, it was so bad.
And I
So
hear you, Amma. I hear you, Amma, which is
and
why I say that
mhm.
this has to be from the bottom up at a grassroots kind of approach or from the top down.
I'm not even willing to talk about the top down, because it's to me that's where the hopelessness comes in, because we've been
Yes,
focusing on those
yes,
people for so long.
yes,
It's gotta be from the bottom up. We
yes,
gotta say, listen,
yes.
we're done with that conversation from the top down. I'm not willing to even engage in that anymore. I'm willing to have the conversation of how do we provide the building blocks for the people that are on the ground, and
Because
to
that's the next
stop
step. That's the next
focusing
step.
on
That's the next step.
yeah, we
I,
need to
I,
stop
I,
focusing on government of
Yep.
what government is going to do. I'm not saying government shouldn't be responsible. And a lot of people misinterpret my opinions as me being a labor right, which I'm not. I'm not even affiliated to a political party. But I'm just saying, enough about the government talk. We, the people of Dominica, we, the citizens of Dominica, that can do better. This is the call to you today. You need to plug in. We're not asking you to go on the ground like I did. Not everybody can go on the ground. Not everybody wants to go on the ground. Not everybody wants to live there. But for those of you that have 30 minutes of your time a week to mentor that young man in the community, to liaise with someone like Carlos, to say, okay, I have time. How can you mobilize two young men that need me? Or to even reach out to someone like myself that's on the ground in the community of Woodford Hill. How do I get two young people in Woodford Hill, two young women that need that parenting guidance, something. My people, Dominicans, we need to stop talking. We come on Facebook every day and we talk, we talk, we talk, we talk. We go on Q, we talk. We call Matt every morning. It's just crazy. It's driving me crazy because we've been doing it for 25 years. We need to stop. We need to move on. This conversation about the top and what they're doing, what they're not doing, it's over. The new conversation for 2025 has to be, how are we going to put the citizens of Dominica first? How we, the people that are talking from the diaspora, instead of talking at the people in Dominica, how do we hold their hand? How do we provide what we know? How do we let each other remember who we are? A lot of us that are out here, we remember because we've held on to that old cultural identity of Dominica. So we have it. The people that are there that are struggling, that have had to shift in terms of cultural attitudes, preferences, to adapt to the changes that are there, they may have lost some of it. So how do we now infuse that you know, I don't know how to say it in Creole. Dr. Triffy, give me the word. Infuse that essence back in. You know, if I could talk Creole, I would talk it now. To infuse the essence back into Dominica and to be passionate about it. That's what
It's
I want to
small.
do for
It's small.
2025.
It's in the way I see it, again, as above, so below. If you want to change the above, you have to change the below. If you want to change the below, you have to change the above. Okay. The above is not listening, it's non-responsive for a long time. Another approach is from the bottom up, right? Which would mean exactly what you're saying, right?
Yes, hold that thought,
Yeah.
Dr. Triffy, because we have to invite the callers. And Tanya, I know you had a point as well, so make a note of the points that you want to raise. The Facebook is already going crazy, so we have to include people in the conversation. Lambi, you have a call coming in.
Yeah, we've got a caller in there. Caller, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening,
Good evening.
Simone and your panelists.
Good evening.
Yeah, I've been listening, and to say this, the mindset in itself to change that's a serious uphill battle. In fact, even earlier today, I was at a meeting where, we had somewhat a similar discussion. And one of the things that we realized that is happening even in some neighboring countries, and most even in Trinidad, we realize that the workforce, in other words, in Dominica, one of the biggest issues we have in farming is labor. Labor. And what we note in Trinidad, they have that kind of connection where, it's like a gang. Fellas, they mobilize each other and they go and do jobs and they are excited about doing that. And some of the other areas in neighboring islands, they take pride in, they are going to something. And I know we have tried to even engage the NEP that way. But you see, while we appreciate the beautification program that is going on in Dominica, but if that was, let us say, we're getting that kind of assistance in the farming operation with that type of LEP, I think would be better. But what we find is, even to get NEP, and I remember there was an attempt to get NEP to assist farmers. And what I know is that, in fact, the NEP will be working at 3 hours a day. Now it's in the beginning of probably to 5 hours. So what you find that was happening is that to change that mindset, even from the NEP where they're working at 3 to 5 hours, and you see down the road, you see some of the activities. And even to get that change and to assist the labor force in Dominica, nobody can touch that dial and to get that happening. So we have already gone a bit far. And now it is somewhat biting us. So I think the latter who said that we might have to just take it from the grassroots. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I think our discussion did recommended today again was, how can we get especially the college from the high school and college, while we can start from kindergarten to let them understand the importance of agriculture. But what about the high school and the college? Mm-hmm. How many children that are interested in agriculture, or have we opened up different opportunities that they can choose from, instead of all I want to be a lawyer, all I want to be a doctor, all I want to be a nurse, all I want to be working for the government. But we haven't been able to change the mindset where people can see the importance of working for yourself, being your own entrepreneur, whether it's in farming, whether it's in agro-processing, and that kind of thing. And so we honestly, that's a very good topic you're having, and that's a serious cry, Dominica. We need to see how we can change the mindset.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think we need to start down and go up.
Yes, thank you, caller. Thank you very much for your contribution. So let us just.
You have to start down. So
Yes, thank you. So let us just run the numbers. And again, I am completely on board with what Amma was saying. That again, as I always mention in this program, how do we turn that passion that keeps us calling the radio, keep posting on Facebook? And we're not saying that, yes, the action doesn't start with the conversation, but how do we turn that passion for Dominica into action for Dominica? So I think that is what Amma is saying in a nutshell. But again, this is Roots Connections, and we're talking about, as we get ready to step into 2025, what is the promise and potential of Dominica for 2025 and beyond. And we have Dr. Triffy, we have Tanya Dixon, we have Carlos Charles, and we have Halima Thomas Abdullah with us. So let me just run the phone calls, and then we must take the comments from Facebook. So ladies, make a note. Carlos, make a note of the thoughts you want to share when we come back.
Roots Connection and Q. The numbers to contact this program are as follow: 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. These are all local numbers, and the international or overseas number 305-432-9624. Let me run those one more time. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257, 305-432-9624. Back to you, Simone.
Yeah, thank you. So again, Peter Thomas on Facebook, good evening to you. Anthony Simon, Carl Kofi James, all wonderful to have you on board. Byron Winston, I applaud the entrepreneurship, but who is working to get the products beyond Dominica? And to Halima's point, we need entrepreneurship to be an integral part of the curriculum. Entrepreneurship is not intrinsic to us. It has to be groomed. Then we have Mapo Neck. Where was the notice of employment posted? So I'm going to make a note of that. I think he's asking you that question. David Joseph, when government officials say to the people that agriculture is a has-been industry, we cannot expect the young people to gravitate towards agriculture. Moponek, you cannot post an employment opportunity. So I think you read that already, Amma. David Joseph, greetings and good night. Let's see. Byron Winston, agriculture was historically maligned in Dominica. Growing up, you were never encouraged to pursue agriculture. It was always the law, doctors, engineering, agriculture, entrepreneurship. All these have to be groomed and grown. Mapo, find out where the employment okay, we got your question, Mapo, thank you. Alexandria Thomas, the path of least resistance. Let's take one for someone we haven't heard from. Peter Thomas, did I hear you say you paid someone $50 a day? Yep, that's what you get in agriculture. Let's see, Mapo, young people planting marijuana in remote locations all over Dominica. If they get an opportunity to make $1,500 extra, they would do it. Well, they should do it. Let's put that correctly. David Joseph, we need to be brutally honest here. Our current leaders have failed us by creating a mendicant society, hence the reason or reasons why the opportunity to earn is less attractive than being able to go to a politician and get something for free. And that is not an excuse, because this mentality has been inculcated into the minds of young people, and not just the young people. You get Centilla, always great to see you. Thank you for being here. Wilma Robin wants to know if you contacted the school, Amma, so make a note. Indigenous Bushman, nice to see you. Greetings. Yuget says, I'm listening. The opportunities in agriculture right now available. Anthony, agriculture was never sexy, my brother. It has always been hard work, hands on the ground. Let's take from someone we haven't seen. Alex Powell Bruno, my friend, nice to see you on board. This is a high caliber discussion. Thank you, guys. The future is tuned in, from someone we haven't heard yet. Elisha Valmo, Dr. Triffy, you're making some amazing points. Peter Thomas, the government that have been occupying the House of Parliament for over 25 years have no clue to manage the country. They continue to put agriculture on the back burner and have destroyed the moral fabric of the country. So I'm going to have to truncate some of your posts because we have so many comments and we're happy that you're joining us. Shane Laura, if 80% of the country is labor, how can you get them to switch? Good question, Shane. Let's take from someone we haven't heard from. Jane Bertrand, nice to see you. Hannah West, Amma, good point. We need to plug in. I know the focus is on agriculture. A few years ago, as a healthcare professional, I was willing to travel back to Dominica to volunteer to provide nutrition education to patients on dialysis after speaking to a few patients on dialysis in Dominica who had many questions. I work with a nephrologist that went to Ross University that is always asking about doing volunteer work in Dominica. This nephrologist would be a blessing to the patients. And that is another important conversation. How are we ensuring that people who are overseas can make a meaningful contribution to Dominica? And then David says, like it or not, it is the policy of the government that will bring a better standard of living to the citizenry. And then Carl Coffey says, cause you're knocking hard. So all very important points. You can make a note of what you want to respond to, but I just wanted to go back to where we left off. And that is learned helplessness, that mentality of sapophe. This is my lot in life. There's nothing I can do about it. And that, I believe, has led to that dependency syndrome. Because when you throw your hands up in the sky and you say, there's nothing I can do, that's how it is. That's how it is, right? How are you going to provide for yourself? So what that leads us to is a situation where now you have to depend on the powers that be to sustain your livelihood. And that in itself can result in all sorts of other issues that you may face in life. But the question that always bugs my mind when I think of that dependency syndrome is it a political strategy? Because we are having a candid conversation here. And I am very intrigued by the question of, is this a political strategy? Is it a strategy to keep Dominicans dependent so that they have to come to you, so that they think that you're the be all, you're almost like their God, so that they have to keep coming to you to beg for their daily living? So we have a lot that we are unraveling here. So I just want to open up the discussion. I wish the time would just slow down a little bit so we can have more time. But let me open up the discussion so you can just share your thoughts at this time. And when we talked about locus of control, that also relates to learned helplessness, because we're saying when you have an external locus of control, again, you're saying, I'm not in charge of my life. My life is in the hands of others. They dictate my fate. But when you have an internal locus of control, you're saying to yourself, I'm responsible. I have the power to change my life. I have the power to make my life better. And what you will come to find is that most people who are successful in life, guess which locus of control they espouse? I think you can answer that question yourself. So guys, the floor is open. Feel free to chime in with your comments at this time.
Can I just chime in? I want to issue a challenge to our diaspora persons, because you're out there, you know how things are supposed to, and that's just one side of things. You know how things should be done. We welcome the barriers that you send regularly. You know how things are in Dominica. Try and start a business in Dominica, and in Dominica with the resources. I know persons out there who are attempting to do so in various sectors. And yes, I believe we should place more emphasis on agriculture, but there are a lot more sectors that are available to us. Dominica is a wide open market. Good evening, Carl. I believe our diasporas, please try something. There are a lot of you are interested in a lot of different sectors. There are a lot of things that you can do in Dominica. So
But Carlos, let me be devil's advocate here. So that is a wonderful idea. I'm completely on board. But there's a question of trust that comes with that question, because I personally know of someone who was doing exactly as you recommended. She wanted to start a business in Dominica. She was going to provide the supplies. She was actually starting a kids' clothing store. I won't mention the name. She trusted someone in Dominica, a lawyer in Dominica, to register the company for her. Do you know what happened?
the money
He
disappears
registered the company
in
on
their
his
name.
name. He registered the company on his name, took the name of the company. She had to fight to get back her business, to the point where she had to change the name of the company because he would not release the name she originally came up with. So I think we're looking at a two-way street here, where yes, we want to start businesses in Dominica, but think of the challenges that come with that. For example, when you're trying to open a business and they're asking you to come in to do the paperwork, but you're overseas. How does that work?
That's just one example.
Yes, an important one.
Is running a very successful shipping business in Dominica. He's running a very successful shipping business in Dominica. So
Right.
that's an example of one that is successful.
Right. So trust. We have to be able to trust each other.
So you have to find ways to make it work. So because a guy crashed my car or jammed my car and I trying to run a little Uber business, I'm gonna shut it down? No. I mean, I'm sorry, sad that this happened to that individual. I'm very sorry that happened to them. But there are opportunities. Really, agriculture, we have to start from the bottom. And persons who are asking about making it sexy and it's hard work. Yes, I know it's hard work. You have to sweat, you have to toil. But face it, or the average young person is not going to look to pull grass. And there are innovative ways in making agriculture easier, and things have improved. Technology has come a long way. We used to ride donkeys before. Auntie, Grandpa used to have his donkey coming down from up the hills with all the bananas and all the dashings and so on. Right now, you can there are roads now. You can bring vehicles. So there are ways in which you can make it nicer for young people to be attracted to it, and we can produce at an even higher level that we were producing before.
Yeah, and let me just say, well, first of all, Carlos has to behave because his daddy and his auntie on the program tonight. But also, we've talked about agriculture quite a bit, because I think that is what we see as the most investable opportunity in Dominica. But we also want to consider challenges in other sectors of Dominica. The healthcare industry, business, manufacturing, creating markets for Dominican produce, all other sectors of Dominica. So I know we've talked quite a bit about agriculture, but we're saying that there are challenges in other areas as well that need to be addressed. But I think what we're drawing on is the bottom line is nothing can change if the mindset of the people are not changed. And the other thing we have to consider when we talk about learned helplessness and that sapu fair, we talk about inheritance, right? We talk about inheritance, but what are our children inheriting? Because they're inheriting that mindset as well, because they're living what they're learning and they're learning what they're living. So we are handing them that mindset as a generational, I don't want to call it a curse, but a generational mentality that they too will adopt. So it begs the question, when do we expect Dominica to advance if what our children are inherited is that same dependency syndrome? Tanya, your thoughts?
I just want us to go back to where we were. I feel like we're going all over, and
Mhm.
we need to focus on that mindset.
Yep.
Because I don't think we really understand how deep seated this thing is. Like Dr. Trifi said, it's like a what psycho spiritual, you know, effect we're having. And I really agree with you guys that sometimes we make excuses for not, what you all call it, the locus of control, not,
Yes.
taking control and saying, yes, despite my environment, I can do this, I can make this happen. But from my experience in my short time in this world, I am just, and especially in Dominica, I am just seeing and feeling how much people are very much dependent on outside influences, leadership. They're always looking to someone for the guidance. Okay. And so I've also seen, because of that, it's very easy for the mind to be conditioned. This is what leaders are doing all over the world. This is generally conditioning minds. You understand? And I'm going to say I'm speaking about all leaders. Of course, the government has a part to play, because let's break down the word government, govern the mind, govern the mental. Okay, so it's this. I feel in my heart this mindset. Our leaders have a great contribution to it, a very big contribution to it. And I know I love how Halima was talking about, let's stop bashing and let's get to the point. The way to get to the point is to find out the root. How we get like this? Why we thinking like this? Why is there this breakdown? We don't know ourselves anymore. We don't remember agriculture. We just lost ourselves. How did we get here? And
Well,
then from there, deciding how to make the change. But for me, yes, I believe we should all make an effort to work on ourselves.
yes,
That's very difficult. That's why we have therapists like Dr. Trifi. Lots of us still going to someone to help us, to lead us, to
exactly.
lead us. So for me, it's top down. There needs to be that change, because I just, look at the world. We love shepherds. We are sheep. We always looking to be led. We need somebody to influence us in a different way, make us more independent, motivate us to achieve things. I'm just being honest. I feel it's, but
Yeah,
that,
and
if we
you.
have change there, then maybe people will start to pull up their socks, like, boy, I'm in a different environment, boy, I can't lie down here and just feel, oh, I can't go by financial center and just feel I could beg for 200. Or I can't do these things anymore. This is an environment where I have to, get my mind right, ready myself to take advantage of the opportunities. And there are opportunities presented to me that I can take advantage of. And
Yeah,
that's
and you
just how
and
I
you're
see.
absolutely right, Tanya, because I know one of the things we like to say is not in Dominica alone now, and we're seeing that with the continuing ubiquitousness of social media, we're finding more and more that people need to be led. So they zoom in and they latch on to an influencer, whether it is in politics, whether it's in
Mhm.
economics, whether it is in religion, they latch onto that person and they swallow everything that person has to say, and they just, that is their Bible. So we're seeing that as well. But Lambi had a very good point. He said practical agriculture must return to preschool all the way up to the top.
There
That is
is
where my
agriculture in
love for the
preschool.
soil started.
But there is agriculture in
Good,
preschool. But
good.
not preschool, but I'm sure in the younger, K and grade one, you see them doing it. My child was planting the other day, replanting. There is that
Good.
there, but are we investing in it? Can someone say to themselves, boy, I going into that because I can see, let's keep it real. We always talk about we must have passion about things, but it's also about making money so that we can be comfortable.
Right,
Okay.
Well, the
absolutely.
thing
So
is, can I butt in here?
Yes, go ahead.
sure.
Again, going back to the point of the conversation, which is the mindset. I think we've zeroed in on the thesis that the mindset, when we think of our leaders in society and we're thinking mindset and change, I want to ask the question, where do you think those leaders are coming from? the family unit that is launching them into society, they're just as dysfunctional. So, how do we expect these same leaders to come up with a different mentality to change the problem that exists that they don't even know themselves how to change?
But Halima,
So,
not
that's why,
everyone has a mentality that is
wait, let me
of
finish. That's why I
dependency and
said for
stuff.
Dominica to change, let's look at who has the different mentality.
Exactly.
Lambi, you're gonna agree with me. Marigot has been the most resilient community in Dominica. When you and Salisbury, when you look at how have we withstood all that it is, and we still continue to push forward. Let's examine what's going on in Marigot. You go inside of Marigot, and we are so insulated. There's a thing in Marigot, you can't kill my enemy. Let me kill my enemy, but you on the outside, you cannot come out from where you come from and kill my enemy. No, that's my job. When you come in my village, we are together. We are one functioning unit. We are so insulated, you can't come from the outside to change that. The second thing of it is inside of Marriott, we know we have to hustle. We know that there are no handouts from nowhere. So people are planting their gardens, getting their food, doing what they have to do. Third of all, Marriott people in the diaspora were not sending barrels for Marriott people. Maybe Christmas they'll get one barrel. Simone made a point and asked, is it a government policy that they want the people in a certain mindset with dependency to control? I don't think this mindset started with this government, I think it started before that. And I think it started, let's just be frank and let's just be honest here. This started when people migrated from like the 60s and they became dependent on these people overseas. What has happened is as migration has increased, the dependency has shifted significantly to overseas. It's not the government dependency that's killing the country alone. This barrel economy and the lines at MoneyGram and whatever is also killing the country with dependency. We keep pushing it to just the government. And that's where I feel like we need to have some hard conversations. When we are opening up the conversation, are we objectively doing a 360 to say how we are contributing to the problem? I'm
But
not sending barrels in Dominica for nobody. I refuse. You want help? Let me get you a seed. You want some seeds? You want to learn how to plant a garden? How to grow your food? Join the Dominica Garden Club. I'll give you
Teach
$50 to
them
go
to
buy seed.
fish. Teach them to
Yes,
fish.
teach you how to fish. But
Mhm.
some people say, oh man, things so hard, you send a barrel for somebody. Okay? And I agree, there are certain people in the community that need the barrel. That elderly person, the cognitively impaired people, that person, that mother that just needs that help right now to get her some footing, that you give it to her and then you let her sail through on her own. So it's not like you want to cut off everything. But back again to the point is like the mindset. We cannot launch good leadership when the family, the foundation of the society, the foundation, which is the family unit, is so dismantled and so dysfunctional that we are unable to calibrate and create and to stimulate that DNA like we did back then to produce high caliber, high functioning leadership. So that's why I like to say, is the La Westa leading the La Westa? That is what it has come down to.
So,
What
so,
you
Halima, sorry to interrupt, but this is on my mind. So when you say that, are you saying someone like Carlos may not be able to then take up leadership? Because
No, I'm
I'm
not
thinking to
saying that. I'm
myself,
saying the people that we're looking towards presently
well, we are
to
looking to
make that
people like
change. Because
Carlos.
when
We
we're
are looking
talking
to people
about
like Carlos. We're looking to other people.
Carlos is
I
already
believe
doing
in
his
our
part.
society, there are persons who are capable. Not everybody come from bad home and broken
I'm not
and
saying
as
that.
you
I'm
right,
saying
but
we're
there
not
are persons in
organized.
society who I think, can step up and can drive certain, principles of, independence and like we
But
said,
we've been talking about it for years, my love. We've been talking about it.
I
And
agree. That I
we're
agree
not
with.
moving. And it's not even just a problem in Dominica. It's a problem here in the inner city, in the African diaspora. It seems to be a problem that
So,
we always have to look. It's like
Yeah.
almost ingrained in our DNA that we're looking towards somebody to do something for us.
Right,
We,
but
we, we gotta get beyond that.
let's take Dr. Triffy. Let's take Dr. Triffy, and then Carlos, we're going to come to you. And then the time is speeding away from us. But the final thing I want to look at is I want to go back to the original question. What is the promise and potential of Dominica? So let us think, because I'm an eternal optimist. I believe that the glass is always, well, mine is 3/4 full. It's always half full rather than half empty. So what would a strategic plan for the development of Dominica look like? So that is the final question I want to ask to you, our panel. And yes, we want to hear your thoughts on Facebook and YouTube as well. But what would a strategic plan look like for the development of Dominica? So I want us to end with that promise and that potential that we keep talking about. But Dr. Chifi, let me come to you, and then Carlos, I'm going to come to you. So think about that question as well.
So I feel pain in my heart when I think about the reality because it hurts. And I feel pain in my heart because I don't think we truly understand the gravity of the problem. I don't think we understand how stuck we really are. I don't think we realize who we're dealing with. I think we underestimate the level of, I call it darkness, but it's pathology. It's psychopathology we're working with. And so, uh, regardless of what your problem is, you start where you have power. And you always have power. You always have choice. There are always things we can do. So that learned helplessness has to really, you have to feel the pain that you feel, yeah, the frustration that you feel, but focus on where you have power. Now, we cannot control other people's behavior. Yeah, it's great. I might have my ideas over here on the strategy. Yeah, but I have to convince people of this. That's how people work. I can see the light, but I have to make it sexy to other people for them to come on board, or else I'll be the only one screaming in the wilderness. And it's like trying to fill a bathtub with a teaspoon. Yeah, very exhausting. It'll wear me out. Yeah, so I have to make my goals reachable. Smart, manageable, reachable. When it comes to like the promise of Dominica, organizers, organize. If you're an organizer, that's where you're strong. Do what you're strong at. You're a teacher, teach. You're a healer, heal. Yeah. Somewhere along there, because everybody has the highest, their high intention is the same, right? Dominica first. This is what we want to see. There will be areas where you will have like a through line, where we meet. We don't have to meet on everything. We cannot. We're different people. Yeah, different human beings, different ideas. Again, you see it this way, I see it this way, but we have to be able to find those people with the common goal. Have to find the thing we can agree on. It will not be everything. And so if we have come to expect that something has got to be this way for it to be right, we'll miss the boat, or we'll miss where we can collaborate. So when it comes to diasporans, I would not, again, for me, I understand the power of a thought form. If you have somebody in a room who is strong enough mentally they will lead everybody else in the room with their thought form. That, on a big scale, is what you have happening in Dominica, which is why the people in the chat are telling us that 80% of the people right now will look at us like we're a little nutty, like we're the ones who are weird. Yeah. So you, the 20%, say that that's weird. You do what you can do. Start there, because that's where you can start. Do what you do best. I don't suggest you share your strategy in front of the 80% necessarily, because you're dealing with a thought form creator that has a hold on 80% of the people. And Mr. Paris, I was listening to Mr. Paris talk, and the interviewer was asking him, JL was asking him about tell me your plans. And he gave a couple, and then he said, the rest I'm going to keep closer to my vest. This is not an easy formula to untangle necessarily, although it is easy, but long talk, right? We got to focus where you have power. That's where you focus. Yeah. Organize, strategize, but your strategy cannot be in front of the lion that is waiting to pounce on you, that can pounce on you, like all of the diasporans who have went down to Dominica, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, wanting to do and give, and they have found the noose around them, where they've been snuffed out because that system cannot take your freshness, Hannah. They don't want you coming to volunteer. They don't want, because you will get credit for volunteering, and that cannot exist within that system. Yeah. So you got to find another way. Yeah. The way you do it might be a Zoom training where you train people on the ground, because coming in there, you might get stopped. You might get harassed coming back, whatever. Yeah. This is the reality. This is as I see it.
Yeah,
As I
yeah,
see it.
yeah. Thank you, Dr. Triffy. And speaking of challenges, one of the most frustrating parts of what I hear entrepreneurs on the ground talk about, people who are interested in doing business on the ground talk about, is that there's always a workshop, there's always some forum for discussing topics and ideas and how do we move forward, and then there's no follow-up. You reach out to the folks who conduct these workshops to find out what are the next steps we're taking in the process. No one returns your calls. No one answers your emails.
You're blocked.
Again,
You are
yes,
blocked.
yes,
And that is the reality.
yes,
And I know this for sure,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, well, this is the reality. What can I do? What do I have power to do? And start there. Because at some point, all of that is going to meet up somewhere. If you're doing your piece and I'm doing my piece and I'm doing my piece, it's going to meet up somewhere, or we can strategize to make it meet up somewhere. And it has to be, we have to be okay. We have to be okay with everybody not being 100% on point with us. We have to look for the little piece where we can all meet and start there.
And what we're saying is not impossible, because I am affiliated with a number of Dominican organizations, including the Dominica Civil Alumni Association, the Dominica Houston Association, the Dominica Tampa Bay Association, KEC, Committee pour Études Creole. And we are all people at home in Dominica and out here overseas, and we're all doing work for the benefit of Dominica. But we have to continue to support these organizations, and we have to continue to provide that enabling environment so that folks, whether they're in Dominica or outside of Dominica, know that there's an opportunity for those who are ready, those who are prepared, those who are willing to contribute, to feel welcome, to be invited in to the conversation, to invite it in to the planning of what is needed to advance Dominica. So I want to go around the room so everyone can tell us, what is the promise and potential? Tanya, you talked about the Earth Kids Dominica Wellness. I always talk about that Nature Island brand, that everything should be an umbrella for all that we're doing to advance Dominica. Carlos, I know that you're the leader of Team Unity Dominica, what are your plans? What is your strategic vision? Amma, in terms of the work that you've been doing on the ground in farming, and in terms of our young people, the potential you saw in our young people, what is the promise and potential for Dominica? What does that strategic plan look like? So Tanya, let's start with you.
I'm gonna take Dr. Triffy advice, I don't think you should put your plans out there. I just being honest. I don't
In
think you should put your
general, not
plans out
specific
there,
plans.
with regards to personal things like your business
Right.
and stuff like
I
that.
agree.
But in terms of the promise for Dominica, I've always felt like there's so much. That's why I'm still here. I'm being honest. I can go back at my home, and work or whatever it is and be closer to family and not be here at Christmas like I told Dr. Chifi, feeling sad and like, oh my God, I have no family, But
Hey, we are
something has
family.
me
We are
here.
family. We are
Sorry?
family. We have family here. You have family in Dominica.
Aww.
Thank you. Thank you. But I'm here, and it's because I've always felt like this place is, when you look at the mango tree, the grafted mango tree, or a bitter skin tree, and it have that nice mango and it just green and it just ripen nice every day. You're making sure you're watching it. You're just keeping an eye. Yeah, making sure those birds don't come by. You're trying your best. Dominica like that for me. It's just so young. It's a young country. And I just think there's so many opportunities here. And yeah, I think 2025 is looking up. We just have some, a few decisions to make. Like Dr. Triffy said, the locus of control. We have some decisions to make. And we need to get serious, people. We need to get serious about what direction we're going in. I would like to say though, I think what would be important for a change is seeing more presence from certain regulatory boards. I feel that could help a lot with the accountability. I feel like we're not seeing our regulatory boards, like the IPO. I mean, I'm not seeing their presence unless it's some kind of a observance or something, International Corruption Day, but no reports, no, we need some more, we need some presence from our regulatory boards and to keep people in line. Need some accountability. I would appreciate that. And a whole heap of other things that we touched on as challenges. Yeah. But
Yeah, and the good thing about this is if anybody tuned in late, remember you can always catch the replay of the program by going to YouTube or Facebook, and you can enter Q95 FM radio on YouTube and Facebook, and you can catch the entire replay of the program, or you can also check it on Push Past 10 on Facebook. Carlos, the political aspect, TUD, what is the strategic plan for Dominica?
Strategically, we want to get into office first, and then we can include any plan we have in mind with Dominica. But contrary to what others will do, we will not hide our plans in the bush and say we when we come we'll present our plan. In the last election, we were the only political party with a plan for Dominica, and we presented it as our manifesto. Only political party, right? We started 2 months, and the Prime Minister decided to call a general election on us. We believe, yes, that electoral reform is important for Dominica, yes, but the best reform for Dominica is if we can get all the 70,000 people in Dominica to vote out that government there and put another set of people in charge of our affairs and do our things properly. Yes, everything in terms of plans, everything starts with agriculture. Tanya has to feed her child and her family. She may want to send something down to Trinidad, right? Dominica is the isle of 365 rivers. We're still importing water from Tanya's home island.
Yep.
You understand? What my colleagues would say, we have water sweetening the sea. Whole day, 24 hours. And since Maria, one of our water factories shut down, and there was nothing done to bring that back on stream. These are just some of the ideas that we had in store, and we presented it to Dominicans. Even the Prime Minister commented that he saw some of the plans that we had on our manifesto, which included slimming down of the oversized cabinet.
And let the folks know how they can follow you. I know you're on
Yeah,
Facebook. I think you guys do
yeah,
a program every Monday night. I try to
yeah.
catch the replay
Yes, we do a program every Tuesday night, so
Tuesday night.
you can catch us from 8 o'clock on Tuesday night on Team Unity Dominica. You can catch us. We are on all the various social media channels: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. We there. Just type Team Unity Dominica TUD, and you will get us. So very soon we'll be on the mainstream media. We're working on that. Hopefully we'll be on there with the big station, and Mr. J will
Yeah,
give
sure.
us a good
Absolutely. Whenever you guys are ready, I'll be
yeah,
more than happy to host you guys.
and we will be bringing out our
Oh, you
plan.
said Mr. G. Wait, hold on, hold on. I am disinviting you because,
No, no,
oh,
no,
you want
no,
Mr.
no,
G?
no. When I
I'm disinviting you.
what I said is
Oh,
I
you want
don't
Mr.
mean
G?
I don't mean you not involved. I'm talking about the big man.
Oh, so I'm the condolence prize?
No, 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 you're not the condolence
I'm
prize.
just kidding. I'm just
I
kidding.
know, no, no. You know, you cannot not be involved.
I'm just kidding.
We always call Dr. Simon to come and assist us in whatever way, shape, or form that she can.
Sure,
With
absolutely.
your busy schedule as well. But yes, we have a lot of plan. If you go right now on our Facebook page, you will see a copy of our manifesto. You can review it. We put it out there for everybody to see. And of course, that was 2 years ago. So imagine now we have so many more plans and looking at things that are evolving as time goes by. So
Yeah.
you can see us there, and feel free to reach out and ask them any questions. We'll
Yeah,
be
sure.
more than happy to answer.
Yeah, thanks, Carlos. And of course, if you want to reach any of our panelists, you can always shoot me an email and I can link you with them. Pushpast10@gmail.com, pushpast10.com. And I promise you, I will ask them first before I give out their phone number, because that is the other thing that's very annoying in Dominica, that folks have your phone number and they just randomly give it out to people. So I think it is only out of respect that if someone asks you for somebody's phone number, that you first contact the person and ask if you can give out their phone number. So again, pushpast10@gmail.com if you're interested in connecting with any of our panelists. Amma, the last 5 minutes is yours.
Hi, everybody. I am going to be a little egotistic now. I am Amma. I am Amma Thomas. I am a Dominican. I am pledging my allegiance to my country in 2025 to do the best that I can to develop wherever I see that I can possibly fit in. I have shown my promise. I have shown my diligence. I have shown my commitment to the development of Dominica. I am not running away from my people. I am on the ground. My hands are in that red labu, and I am with my people. I will not run away. I will not stop. I have children. I have a legacy to continue. I have an American born daughter and granddaughter that have made Dominica their home. They chose to migrate back to Dominica. I have an 18-year-old that wants to be in Dominica. And so I feel it is my responsibility as a Dominican citizen to do the best for Dominica that I possibly can. As to my plans, everybody knows that I'm a wellness nut. I will continue in that capacity. I will continue to show the link between agriculture and wellness, and to get people to recognize an awareness of where we are and how we can bridge those two things. Agriculture is health. Health is agriculture. You cannot separate those two. The wealth and health of a nation depends on the food you eat, where it comes from, the air you breathe, and your mindset, which has been the thesis of our conversation. I am hoping that through this conversation, we will all do some introspection. We will take the advice, my friend Moponek, I think. I'm going to take your advice. I am not that kind of person that's not going to take my critics seriously. I live for my critics. I think I love my critics more than I even love my supporters because my critics always show where I can improve myself. And I am going to go forth with the best that I can. And I think if each one of us did the same, for our country would be in a much better place in 2025.
Yes, thank you. And I think that is a pledge that we all should take for 2025. How can we turn? It's very simple. Turn the passion for Dominica into action for Dominica. And a very simple way is to share the program. So share the program, keep the thoughts coming, keep people encouraged to be a part of this movement to help to advance Dominica. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Dr. Triffy, Tanya, Carlos, Ahmed. Thank you so much for your wonderful contribution to this discussion. And we hope that this becomes a discussion that will turn into action because, you know, my mind runs very quickly. So I've already think of other topics that I can wrap you in to in 2025. So I look forward to continuing our journey. Don't forget, Christmas Day is December 25th. That will be Wednesday, December 25th. So we won't have a program. So I will see you the second week, I believe, of January for another engaging program. Let's see, it's going to be January the 8th for another engaging, thought-provoking conversation. And please continue to reach out. So if you have a topic, if you have a change that you're interested in talking about, you can always reach me at pushpast10@gmail.com, pushpast10.com. So I want to hear about your projects. I want to hear about your initiatives, especially youth development. So I think we kind of touched on youth development because everything we talked about relates to our young people, because I continue to be very passionate about developing our young people and the legacy that we are living. And one of the things we talked about, most importantly this evening, is the legacy of the mentality that we're living for our young people. So again, thank you for being here, guys. If you want to wish Merry Christmas to everyone, I know we're early, but this is our last show for the program. Thank you again for being here, our listeners on Q95 FM radio, on Facebook, YouTube, everyone who joined us. I do apologize. I could not take all your comments, but I sincerely appreciate the discussion that you carried on during our program. Again, don't forget you can catch the replay, Q95 FM radio on YouTube and Facebook, as well as Push Past 10 on Facebook. So with that, have a wonderful rest of the Christmas season, and I look forward to being in your company. And next year at the same time, well, next year, January 8th of January, Wednesday, 8th of January. So guys, thank you for being here. Say goodbye to the folks Lambi showing. Thank you and have a wonderful evening. I am Simone Matthew and I look forward to being in your company again. Take care. Thank you, guys.
Roots Connections on Q, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. every other Wednesday on Q95.